Hi, welcome to Miss B's art class. Today we are going to learn a little bit about Notan. Notan is a Japanese design concept and it involves the placement of light and dark next to each other as they relate in compositions. So these are examples, two examples that I've made of Notan. The neat thing about Notan is often, not always, but often they are somewhat symmetrical. This one is completely symmetrical, so no matter which way I turn it, it looks the same. This one is not, but there's still, it's not perfectly symmetrical, but it is still balanced in that there are still elements on either side that balance each other out for this piece as well. But again, for Notan, what you're looking at is the dark shapes that in this case make the positive shapes, and then the bright color behind still leaves a shape in its space that's left over, and those are negative shapes. All right, here's the materials that you will need for this project. You will need a smaller piece of paper and a bigger piece of paper. It is up to you if you would like which is darker and which is lighter in color, but you do need one of each for the contrast to work, which is a big part of Notan artwork. The other materials that you'll need for this project, you will definitely need a ruler. You'll definitely need a pencil, an eraser. Later, you will need scissors and some kind of adhesive. I prefer white glue, but a glue stick would work as well. I'm also going to use a white colored pencil, and I'll have my trusty handheld sharpener. The white colored pencil is just so you guys can see this better in the video. I'm gonna set my glue and my scissors to the side because we won't need that right away. The first step is we're going to, in fact, I'm gonna move my bright pink piece away, and I'm just gonna start with my small piece. Again, if you look at my samples, I'm not cutting the large paper at all. The large paper, which is the background paper, stays the same side the whole time, so I'm not drawing on the big paper. The only paper that I'm going to draw on and cut on is the smaller, in my case, black square of construction paper. So you can actually see the numbers on the ruler. And again, this is a 5" by 5" square. So to do this design, this was a little tricky, but basically you line up your 0 and your 5. 0 on one end of the square, 5 on the other. And I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna put a mark at number 2 and number 3. And you know what? I'm gonna use a white colored pencil for part of this so that you can see it better against the black paper. But when you're doing this, you should just use a pencil because that erases more easily than a white colored pencil. This is just so you guys can see. Okay, I'm gonna move my ruler down and I'm gonna make 2 more marks. Again, at 2 and at 3. And I'm going to line up my ruler and I'm gonna draw a straight line from 0 to 2 and then from 3 to 5. Just scoot my ruler over and I'm gonna do the same thing again. From 0 to 2 and from 3 to 5. And I am actually going to make these lines go out this way now to create basically my plus sign. Okay, but I can just line it up even to make sure, yep, 0 and 5. Okay, so I'm gonna draw my straight line from 0 to 2, 3 to 5. Move it down. I'm gonna draw it from 0 to 2, 3 to 5. Okay, so now I have the plus sign. These are actually all cutouts from the squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 that are left over. And to get those, I'm gonna use my ruler again. And let's see, how do I wanna do this? I'm going to make little marks at the 1/2 inch. So from 0 to 1/2 inch, then at 1 inch, I'm just making little dots this time. 1.5 inches, that's 2, so I don't need to make a mark. I don't make anything inside my plus sign. That's 3, so at 3.5, at 4, and at 4.5. And I'm gonna slide my ruler down, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll kind of, let's see, now I'll do it sort of down. Okay, I'm going to line up my ruler. Again, I'm always using inches. I'm not using the little spaces, which are centimeters. I'm gonna line up my 0 at the top. 5 should hit the bottom because this is a 5-inch square. Great, and it does. And this time I'm gonna draw a straight line. I'm using that dot of if I've got 1, 2, 3, and then it's my plus sign, I'm doing the 3rd dot in. So 1, 2, 3. I'm lining my ruler up to that 3rd dot, and I'm on the left side. 0 to 5, my ruler is lined up. And I'm gonna draw a straight line from 0 to 1.5. Great, I'm gonna pick my pencil up. The 3 is right there, that's the bottom of my plus sign. And so I'm gonna put my pencil at 3.5 and draw a straight line from 3.5 all the way to 5, all the way to the bottom of the square. So it should look like that. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this side. Okay, I'm doing the same thing again. This time I'm gonna do the 2nd dot in. I'll start on the left again. Line up my 0 and 5, but this time, instead of drawing 1.5 inches like this first long line, I'm gonna draw a shorter line. I'm gonna only draw it 1 inch long. So from 0, I'm gonna draw a straight line down to my 1, and I'm gonna stop. And I'm gonna, with my finger, go down. Now I'm on the bottom section, and I'm gonna start at the number 4, right there, put my pencil, and I'm gonna draw straight down. That's gonna be my next shorter thing. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this side. And the final one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up on that first dot, start on the left, 0 to 5, and this time I'm only making a line that is 1/2 inch. And then go down to the bottom from 4.5 to 5. So the shortest mark, I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Now you can start to cut those out. Okay, we are done cutting our plus sign and then the basically L shapes. Again, this is what we were working from. Okay, so at this point I'm ready to, my plus sign has been glued down, and I am ready to take my various cut pieces of paper. Now remember, at one point this was all a square. This square fit into here, this square fit into here, square, square, etc. So I've got basically 4 squares worth of paper that have now been cut into the kind of L shapes. All right, there you have it. I think what's so interesting about Notan, one of my most favorite things about this particular type of art, style of art, is that there are infinite possibilities, even when you just cut the same shapes, let alone when you cut different shapes. And again, remember, what I also think is so incredible is you're just starting with a black square of paper, or really any color square of paper, but it's 2 squares, one is smaller, one is bigger, and you are just making designs, but you can cut out any shapes that you want, and you're just flipping them back and forth to have the play between the light and the dark. You could also do it pretty simply where you take this, oops, and you don't even need to use your ruler, and you wouldn't even need to use a pencil if you didn't want to. You could possibly just cut shapes, maybe even an organic shape. And so again, what I think is so beautiful with this style of art is, again, the positive shapes, which are, in this case, all the black paper shapes, and then the negative shapes that are left behind with, in this case, the neon yellow. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and I will see you again soon.